Hello everyone, and thank you for attending this webinar today. We're here with Dr. Van Fan to discuss the flagship dataset for the annual survey of hours and earnings linked to Migrant Workers Scan. But before I hand over to Van, I just wanted to give you a very quick rundown of what the ADR Research Fellowships are. So a few key things that we're looking at here. So what we want to do is we want to unlock the policy impact of these data sets by enabling research that addresses real world challenges using each of the flagship data sets. And to ensure trusted high quality evidence through data underpinned by the ADR UK flagship dataset framework. Another thing we want to do with these fellowships is try and empower new users of administrative data with lots of guidance and resources that will enable you to confidently work with these data sets. And the actual funding opportunity itself is open to all researchers who are eligible for accreditation. And successful applicants will need to become accredited under the Digital Economy Act before they're able to access the data. There is a an opportunity briefing webinar, which you can go back to. It's on our website where we can give you all the details of what that entails. And the other thing is we want to build on the proven success of previous ADR fellowships. So amplify the outcomes and creating lasting benefits for policy and society. But ultimately, what we're here to do is try and inspire the use of these flagship data sets and drive research that benefits society. And so, yes, we're producing a series of these data set webinars. The purpose of the webinars is really to help you understand as potential applicants the scope of the opportunity and understand the flagship data sets that are eligible. We hope that each data set will give you some ideas about some of the unique research opportunities that each data set offers. And also to give you some practical insights along the way that will help you to shape strong, feasible research proposals. And we'll signpost you to the relevant opportunities for engagement with the actual data experts and other partners who can answer your questions as you are developing your research agendas. So, yes, in this webinar, we're going to hear from Dr. Van Fan, who is part of the Wage and Employment Dynamics team, who look after the portfolio of ASHE data sets. Van's work centres on the topics of general differences in human capital and in the labour market. So if I can say hello, Van, and thank you for coming along today. I will just take off my slides. And if it's okay, I will pass the baton over to you.
Yeah, thank
for
you.
Your presentation.
Yeah. So today we are talking about the ASHE and Migrant Workers Scan data. So ASHE is the annual surveys of hours and earning. It represents 1% sample of the pay wage job in Great Britain, and a sample drawn from the pay wage registrations in January of each year, and survey reference date by mid-April of each year and conducted by ONS. The Migrant Workers Scan is represent for 1% of employee in the ASHE, should be represented in the ASHE sample. And the data is for all the overseas nationals who have registered for and have been allocated the NINO number, and is delivered on the annual basis by Department of Work and Pensions to ONS. And MWS started recording migrations from 1975. However, the current form operated consistently from 2002 onwards. So what is the characters of the link ASHE and MWS? So ASHE, as you know, is that they got a lot of information, especially in personal information like age, gender, home, and postcode, and employment information specifically about the wage, the working hour, and information like work location, legal status, and size of employer. When you link with MWS, MWS will provide us more information about the migrant, so especially the date of the registration, the date of their arrival in the UK, their nationality, the country of residence before arrival, their age and marital status, and also the postcode area at the registration time. So when you link the ASHE and MWS together, so we can create the marker for the migrant, and we also know where they come from, based on their registrations and their nationality. When you combine ASHE and MWS data, so MWS data they got the HMRC ID is the personal identifier. So that's the unique identifier allocated in MWS. And then with the ASHE, we got the pedants, the unique identifier of the personal identifier. How you're able to link MWS and ASHE together. So we are linking these two data sets throughout the lookup data. And then in the MWS, we got around 156,200 people in total. And in ASHE, we got around 140 to 180,000 persons per year on average. So when you link it up, so we got all the lookup, all the MWS persons in the MWS have been in the lookup, but only around 68 individuals have a valid HMRC ID and the pedant together. And here it shows the match rate between the ASHE and the Migrant Workers Scan. So the data, when you merge in the panel ASHE from 1997 to 2022, so there are around 300,000 observations, equivalent with 68,000 distinct individuals are matched in total. And the match rate fluctuates across the year, but the pickup year is from 2019, probably around more than 12% of migrant worker. So with the link data, ASHE and Migrant Workers Scan, we got a documentation. So we got the user guide, which is, I provided the link on the slide. And they got the data dictionary can be found on the ADR data catalog or our website. So because the data is quite new, which hasn't been published officially on the ONS data catalog, but it will be very soon. So talking about the limitations of ASHE and Migrant Workers Scan, so that you can know what we can do with the data, what we can ask about the data. So as you said, if migrant scan workers stand alone on, so it's provide quite limited information for immigrant, because they don't provide specifically with age or specific about their wage or employment. But when you link with ASHE, we can get that information. And also with MWS, we don't have a full postcode at registration time and no information post registration. So because Migrant Workers Scan is scanned at the first time when you come into the country, so there are no observations after registration and no information about which route of migration the person undertook. So many people want to do about what type of route visa or migrations they come in, like visa T2, T4 or skilled worker, but unfortunately you can't do it with this data. So here is some information about migrant profile in the MWS. So you can see that more than 1/2 of migrants are from the Europe and around 1/4 of migrants are from the Asia. And here we can see the number of arrival by Europe and non-European. So you can see the increase in European migrant after 2024 is increasing, but a big drop recently after the Brexit in 2016. And here's also the profiles of the migrant in the data. So based on their year arrival and then their age, and then whether they arrive as an elder and how proportions of men and the proportion of female migrant in our data as well. So you can refer on the table on the screen. So the data is quite new, so we haven't really done a lot of research on that data. So the currently that we're doing is just the data insight. So we can briefly say to you what we did. So first of all, we do the proportions of migrant workers with the subsample from 18 to 64 years old. And you can see that we compare the ASHE MWS with the ABS as of March. And you can see that the trend of these data are pretty much similar, even though the ABS are recorded higher incidence of migrant employee than ASHE, but the trend are pretty much similar, and you can see a slightly drop in 2019, probably happened due to the COVID, or maybe could be a Brexit as well. So, and here we can do it by the compositions of the migrant group. So we divided the migrant into 3 groups. So A12 is the 12 accessions country that joined the EU between 2004 and 2007. And then EU14 is the 14 EU country before 2004. And the row is the rest of the world. So you can see the proportions of 3 groups in the migrant worker scan. And then we can compare it with the ABS. So they are pretty much the same. So that shows you that more reliable in the data. So the longitudinal of the ASHE also allow us to gain some insights of the evolving economic circumstances of the migrant workers as they establish themselves in the UK labour market. So we track the wage progressions of migrant cohort by using the link ASHE and MWS. So you can see that the table on the screen that review a distinction difference between those who arrived early and those who came recently. So the early migrant arrived between 2001 and 2005. So initially experienced higher wage growth than non-migrant, particularly in their first 3 to 5 years. For instance, the migrant who came in 2001 had a wage increase probably around 65% by their 3rd year, compared to 21% for the non-migrant. However, this pattern doesn't hold for the later migrant. Although we can see higher growth in their first year in the country, but in later years, the growth is much slower. And then also that's also kind of a drawback as well, because what we observe in here, the wage growth here is for those who are stayed only. So here are some key research priority or question that we suggest people look at when they're using that data. So for example, what are the earning differences between migrant and UK-born workers across the occupation, industry or region? Or how do the wage trajectories differ for the recent immigrant compared to the long settled migrant or UK-born worker? And do migrant transitions into a higher skill, higher paid roles over time, or they're more likely to remain in the entry-level job? And then are migrant workers are likely to experience pay penalty or limited progressions compared to similar UK-born worker? So when you're identifying research objectives, so please clearly define your research question and whether try to look back whether we can answer that question based on using the ASHE and the Migrant Workers Scan. So that's why we said explore the advantage of ASHE. So we can ASHE the employer-employee data sets, and then we try to answer the question related to migrant because that in Migrant Workers Scan data. And if you want to do some sub-analysis like regional analysis or in terms of occupations, so please access the data suitability because when you come to the smaller granular, so the number of observations will be reduced, and so you have to check it before you have a go. And how you access the data. So as I say, ASHE and Migrant Workers Scan pretty new. So the data will be available through ONS Secure Research Service by early next year. And then the code for references only is available on our website. And how to access the data, you have to register yourself, apply to be an accredited researcher, apply for accredited research project, and then access throughout the SRS secure safe room or safe box or even at your workplace. And here is the link so that in the ADR UK, they got the whole sections to introduce you how to access the data. Very detailed, you can have a look for reference. So I will briefly tell you what you can see when you apply for the data. So the data output, you will receive several files. So the first one is the MWS file. So that's the Migrant Workers Scan. That's the linkable data already. And then that's already include the HMRC ID and then the PIN together. And then from that PIN, you can link directly with ASHE. ASHE, you can have a lot of different type of ASHE, so annual files of ASHE and the panel files of ASHE as well. So what we can support you. So when you apply for the ASHE and Migrant Workers Scan, you can look on our website. So every work that we're doing, so we are published on our website and keep track on it. Documentation, code, or research will be on there as well. So we also get the SRS course repository inside the SRS. And if you have any specific question or any difficulties, just drop an email by wagenamic@ue.ac.uk. And then we also build up the knowledge hub. So that is a peer-to-peer support. So a lot of researchers also raised the question before, so they posted there and we answer that. So basically you can get the answer throughout the knowledge hub. And then you can, sometimes we also invited you to any stakeholder group like academic, government, or public sector to listen to your research, to listen to the stakeholder need as well, so that we build a whole community of research interests together. And then we can provide any support if you have any question or any query about, so please drop an email. So, and then that is the official website and an official email for queries. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Van. as always, very informative. I know you're having a bit of a camera issue, so I'll bring myself and my colleague Mike, who has joined us for the Q&A session. And it's great to see some of the support that you're offering to potential candidates. That's really important. So I would encourage anyone who's viewing this to take up the team on that offer, because they do know the data, what it can do and what its limitations are, and they're really great at providing that support. So thank you, man. Yeah, so we've got a few questions that are coming through the Q&A. So, Van, if you don't mind, I'm going to work with Mike, and we'll probably take it in turns, Mike, and we'll read them out. I think we just go in order that they've come in. So if I take the first one, and this relates, Van, to the sort of dataset features and what's contained within it. Someone's asking, does the dataset actually include information on the exact country or nationality of origin for any of the individuals?
So they do. So they have the nationality and then even the country of the previous residence. So probably, for example, yeah, so you are from Bulgarian, for example, your nationality is Bulgarian, but you live it in Austria, for example, before you came to the UK. So they record the Australia as well before you come in there. So they record both. So
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Very good to know. And just on the subject of nationality, then, I think you mentioned that it's kind of a snapshot in time at first registration. So, are we right in saying that nationality won't be updated over time? So, for example, if someone were to then gain British citizenship, would that be observed?
no, that's not being observed. So basically, no post-registration being observed. So that's just kept one snapshot, then that's it. So.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, thank you, Mike. What's next on there?
Next question. Does the data set include details on visa type or migrant status?
So I say clearly in the limitation of the data. So the data don't include any type of visa or migrant status. So they don't really track what type, how you get into the UK, by what cases or by situation. They don't really record it. So they just say, okay, you come into UK. That's it. No reason. So.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I'm just going to perhaps I've spotted one there that I think might be of interest as well on this in terms of the dataset features. Does the dataset include information on self-employed people, or is it just employees of businesses?
Yeah, so the data, we don't have the whole of the Migrant Workers Scan. So we have the data which is supposed to be in 1% of ASHE sample. So as you know, ASHE sample is for the employee. So the self-employees will not be captured. So if you want to use a self-employee, so we can capture it throughout the PAYE and self-assessment data, which is linked with ASHE and would be another data also in kind of like the data, the flagship data of ADR UK as well. So
Yeah. Okay. So if you did want to have a look at that then, so are you saying that the ASHE migrant workers scan could be linked with the ASHE HMRC, PAYE and self-assessment data sets in theory?
in theory, the answer would be yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the answer would be yes. So basically, you have to go through to the application with ONS, and you have to define clearly what you want and why you. So in theory, it should be the answer is yes.
Okay. Okay. So that's a really interesting one and a really good point there. And I think perhaps to engage not only with yourselves in the Wage and Employment Dynamics team, but also speak to the ONS and the Secure Research Service to sort of scope out whether the data that you think you might need would be feasibly available in the same project space.
Yeah. they should be the same. So that's what we haven't heard any constraints about that. So that's in theory. That's why we say that the answer would be yes.
Yeah, but in practice, you never know until you ask the question, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, Mike, have you got anything else there that you spotted?
Yeah, next question. Is postcode information limited to the first two characters? And is this updated over time?
Yeah, so the postcode is just the postcode area, not the full postcode. So that's limited for the first two characters. So for example, if you live in Bristol, you've got a BS only. So BS1, BS2, whatever is PS, so it's just BS. So and then they're not updated over time. And then you remember that's the postcode area at the registration time. So again, it's one snapshot right at beginning. So it's not follow up.
Okay.
But in ASHE, you can follow up people when you link it together. So ASHE is every year. They also got a postcode. Not, yeah, so from that you can track the area. So you can following by using ASHE, but not by MWS. So
Okay, so you could follow someone as they move around the country into different jobs in
yes.
different regions. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. I think you've kind of answered that merging data sets just a moment ago. Okay, and another one here that I think is probably worth asking you, Van.
Yeah.
How likely is it that researchers can observe migrants working for the same employer as UK-born workers?
Actually, we haven't really do any research detail about it, so we can't really say how likely it would be. But as I show you the matching rate, so around 12% of the worker will be the migrant worker. And then from that, who are observed the same employer as the UK born. So that's also you go down as they're working in the same employer and how many of them. So I can't really provide it now, but as you say that also the advantage of ASHE is the employer. So we can see whether they are working the same employer based on the NREF number in ASHE. So yeah.
Okay, so there's potential there. Brilliant. Okay, and I think Mike, if I think we've just got one more there.
So yeah, this is about like the access and technical considerations. On average, how many years can individuals be tracked in the data set?
So in MWS, so basically everyone came into the country. So the MWS data will be one line will represent for one person. So as I say that we've got around 156,000 people in the MWS, and then how you track them into the ASHE is how long they're going into the pay system and work for employment. So that we can track it. So we can track ASHE is every year. So we can track from 1997 as basically the earliest way we try to track back. So to 2022 now. So every year of ASHE. So
okay, so there's quite a long period of time where you can follow a person's journey.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's really good. Excellent. Okay. Right, I think the questions have slowed up there, guys. So thank you, Van, especially for coming along and delivering this webinar. Very much appreciated. And thank you for your help there, Mike, as well. And thank you all for attending. and hopefully you've got enough information now to go away and have a think about any potential research agendas that you might want to start thinking about. And of course, we will publish this webinar alongside the slides from Van's presentation and any frequently asked questions that have come out of this webinar. They'll all be published on the ADR website. So hopefully you can refer back to them. And of course, as I mentioned, and as Van mentioned, there are opportunities for you to engage with the academic expert teams around the data set, with ourselves and of course with ONS to establish the feasibility of any of the research agendas that you might be thinking about. So on that note, I think we'll say thank you and see you all soon. Cheerio.
Thank you then. Bye.